So in 1966, Eugene Schwartz wrote a rule. And last month, we broke that rule with 2 of our emails for one of our clients. I'm recording this video both as a reminder to our internal team, but also so you don't make the same mistake. I'm Matthias Pirelli. I run Email Engineers. We manage Klaviyo accounts for 7- and 8-figure e-commerce brands. 8-figure, that's the limit. After that, there's just too much bureaucracy and we spend more time on revisions and approvals than on the actual emails themselves. Anyway, this video is not about me, it's about Uncle Schwartz, and specifically a rule inside his book Breakthrough Advertising that answers one question: why do people buy? So I was going to Klaviyo's data for one of our clients to figure out what worked and what didn't. So for context, this brand is Prolube Oil. They sell an oil treatment product. You put this in your car and it makes it run better. Now, think for a second about the customer. So we call him Mike internally in our customer avatar document. Mike. So Mike owns a high mileage truck. He does his own oil changes and he has heard 1,000 times claims from 1,000 other oil additives, and he believes, very rightfully so, almost none of those claims. So Mike doesn't trust any marketing. He only trusts what he can check, what can be verified. So I want you to keep Mike in mind, because everything that follows now happens inside his head, right? So put yourself in his shoes for a second. So what I did is I pulled every campaign from the last 30 days and ranked them by revenue per recipient. Then I took the top 2 and the bottom 2 to see what exactly happened. It's not enough to just see the top performers and try to hypothesize what happened without looking at the bottom performers and actually confirm or deny that that variable was missing for those emails. So that's what I did. So look at the numbers first. The open rates are almost identical across all 4 emails. Click rates also almost identical. So subject lines did their work. We have solid deliverability. That's the same across all emails. Now look at revenue, how many subscribers purchased from these emails. There's a 30-40% difference in sales. So it is worth trying to figure out what is going on here. Now, based on this, the first thing we can say is that something happens inside the email before they click. So let's find that difference. Let's start with losers first. So then the difference is going to be more evident. So this is the email, 24 summers, 400,000 plus miles and still running like new. Still sounds like a brand new car. 2002 Toyota Highlander V6, 422,000 miles, still sounds like it's a brand new car. Wonderful product, looking forward to another 400,000. Steven. Sounding brand new at 400,000 miles doesn't happen by accident. That's 20 plus years of giving his engine the right protection. Start giving yours the same with Prolube Oil. Shop Prolube Oil. Short email, to the point, still generated sales, but again 30-40% below the best performer. So let's go through the email again. The email opens with a quote with social proof. Now we've heard it 1,000 times. Social proof, add more social proof to your emails, and we did. Now here's the thing, our boy Steven here is saying that his engine sounds brand new at 422,000 miles, and that's an incredible claim, but that's the problem. It is literally not credible. So remember, Mike, I want you to read it the way Mike reads it. So he opens the email and the first thing he sees is a promise that sounds too good to be true. And he has no reason to believe it. Nobody prepared him for it. So his brain does what your brain does. He's not lubed up yet. So his brain does what your brain does with claims like this. It says, yeah, sure buddy, sure does. And then he closes the email. Or not necessarily, but mentally he checks out. So here's something we marketers, or I'll talk for myself, a mistake I still do. The claim is true, so we grab this from the website. The engine here, everything is real, but it still doesn't matter. A true claim that arrives before the reader is ready is perceived exactly like a fake one. And Uncle Eugene says it in Breakthrough Advertising. He literally says your most powerful claim does not make your most powerful headline. He wrote that 59 years ago. And this email ignored that completely. And we paid the price. Loser number 2. Instruction manual. A simple guide to a smoother, longer running engine. Number 1. Check your depth check. If you're all sitting at the max line, drain a little out to make room. Step 2. Pour in ProLube oil. 1 ounce per quart of oil. Running high mileage or heavy duty, go with 2 ounces. Step 3. Run the engine. That's it. ProLube oil goes to work bonding to the metal. No flushing, no waiting around. Number 4. Enjoy all these benefits. Up to 45% less engine wear, up to 12% better fuel economy, up to 10% more horsepower, and a quieter, smoother engine. Best product I've used by far. Again, another. Try it for yourself at your next oil change. Shop ProLube oil. You can actually pause the email to read through every single word if you want. Now, this second loser fails differently. It goes straight to the instruction, how easy the product is to use, and then stacks number at the end. 45% this, 12% that, 10% the other. So that is 3 claims with 0 preparation for any of them. And Schwartz has a name for this too. He called it piling promise upon promise. Then says exactly what it gets you: greater sales resistance. Again, think like Mike. Every unproven number here made Mike trust the email less, not more. It's 3 claims that he half believes but add up to nothing. Nothing is fully believed. There's no fully believed claim here. So now, this brings us to the rule itself. Page 129, right here. Gradualization, which in simple words mean make your prospect believe your claims before you state them. So not after. Before. Schwartz understood something that we often forget, and that is that you cannot change what your customer already believes. His beliefs were set long before your email arrived, so you have 2 options: work against them and probably lose, or start from them and build on them. Use the beliefs he already thinks are true and start from there. So what this chapter essentially says is that you open with something that he already knows is true. He agrees with that, and then you add a small step. He agrees again with this other belief, this other statement that you make, and each agreement make the next one easier. Schwartz calls this a chain of acceptance, and by the time the claim arrives, the reader has worked to it himself. So he doesn't resist it because it was built step by step. And an important comment that Schwartz makes in the book is that one fully believed promise has 10 times the sales power of 10 partially believed promises. So as you can realize now, the 2 losers broke that rule. And in return, they generated 30 to 40% less revenue than what they could have done. So here's me recording a whole video about this. So now let's actually see how the top best performers actually follow this rule. Starting with the best performer. Your truck's been trying to tell you something. The 4 warning signs most drivers ignore: that thick or knock-on-call startup, fewer miles per tank, a tired throttle, burning through oil. These are all warning signs that your engine is working too hard against friction, which, if left alone, only ends one way: an expensive trip to the shop. How ProLube oil solves each. Quite synthetic. ProLube oil sucks into the metal and stays there, even after the oil drains down overnight. So your lifters have a barrier at the very first cold turn of the key, and that morning tick goes quiet. 12% better fuel economy. Again, you can pause the video if you want to read through it all. 10% more horsepower, longer lasting oil. Your truck told you something. ProLube oil is the answer. Shop ProLube oil. So your truck's been trying to tell you something. This email doesn't open with the product or with a claim. It opens with something that is already true. Mike's truck has been trying to tell him something. He agrees with that. So the tick and cold starts, the trip to the fuel pump that come a little too often, the throttle that feels slow, feels tired. So it's 4 symptoms, and Mike has some or all of them. So as he's reading this, he's agreeing. Oh, yes, 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 yes. And we get 4 agreements, or 3, or even 2, but we get agreements before a single claim is made. That is the chain of acceptances, built step by step. And only then the product shows up. And notice what it has to do now. It doesn't have to convince Mike of anything. It just has to answer the problems he already admitted to having. So the email is not selling to a skeptic anymore. Now, another thing that's happening here is that as we are making claims, quite in the tick, we are explaining how this is happening. So this is still opening many belief loops, but we are quickly explaining how this is true. And then we use social proof, but this time is to back up this claim, this mechanism that gets them this result. And we do that with every single claim we make. So I hope you can notice now how important copywriting really is. So there are a lot of copywriters who are worried about AI because AI can write emails now. Yes, it can. But the copywriter, or a very skilled copywriter, is still necessary to judge what AI actually writes. Because copy can look really good on paper, like this email, trust me, looks really good on paper, but it can still underperform. So copywriting still necessary, I will argue even more necessary than ever, more important than ever. When so many brands are straight up pushing slop, email slop, and you are the brand that makes sense in the email, you are going to win, you are going to get the sale, you are going to be the brand that scales. So now let's look at the second best performer, right here. Summer test results, your engine on ProLube oil. Summer is what motor oil thins out the most, meaning more metal on metal grinding. So we ran the test. ProLube oil on one bearing, clean motor oil on another. Same load, same heat. No, this is getting more technical, but Mikes love this. See the difference? That's 45% reduction in engine wear, which leads to skipping the 3,000 repair bill, make it past 200,000 miles, silence the startup. Nothing has worked as good as ProLube, another really good review. Give your engine the protection it deserves right through the summer heat. Shop ProLube oil. Again, pause the video, read through it all if you feel like it. Now, again, this other email also wins because of gradualization. It begins with a fact that nobody on earth would argue with. Summer heat thins oil. And Mike knows this. Every mechanic does. So that is our first acceptance right there. Then, and this is important, we show the test before we make any claim. So the bearing test. You see the demonstration first and the promise comes after. So we have proof before the promise, because we believe a promise that comes after proof, but without promise before the proof. So here are some things that I hope you notice, differences between the bottom performers and the top performers. The winner didn't win because of design. Design is really nice across all of them, but the winners are better arranged. So Schwartz rule isn't about what you say, it's about the order you say it in. So here's what this means, back to the numbers. We got essentially the same opens, same clicks, but 30 to 40% the sales difference. And now you know where this comes from. All of the losers asked Mike to believe first. All of the winners started where Mike was already in, what he already believed in, and made the claims only after he'd agreed with everything that we say. And here's another takeaway. With this rule, you could have easily predicted which emails were going to work. So before an email was ever sent, no redesign could have saved the loser. No matter how beautiful the email redesign, it simply couldn't have. Also, no better subject line could have saved the losers. No sending time optimization. So the problem was with the architecture of belief. Something we need to be more reminded of. At least that's me and also my team. Clients pay us email engineers to generate as much revenue as possible from their Klaviyo account. So we have to keep everything under consideration. So if that is something that you will want for your brand, you run a 7 or 8-figure e-commerce brand and there's no committee in charge of approvals, then reach out to me. The link's going to be in the description of this video. we will manage your Klaviyo account and we will extract as much revenue as possible. Otherwise, read the book. It's 60 years old, but customer psychology hasn't changed at all. I'm Matthias Matporelli, founder of Email Engineers. Now, if you would like to get access before anyone else to something I'm working on, is how to apply breakthrough advertising to email marketing, sign up below. The link is also in the description. It's been a pleasure having you here today. Talk soon.